It was nerve-wracking because you didn't know how much the water was going to actually rise.
Lights start blinking. We start hearing tremendous noise outside.
We were going to stay in our house, but in the morning the ocean was already coming down our street onto Route 35. It started taking away the beach at first, and then after that it started taking away the houses.
Very violent, very destructive storm, a dangerous storm.
It is chaos along the Jersey Shore.
We're essentially inside the storm, Diana. Just to our south, safely getting in some of the worst guns. The seafront town is completely submerged.
Hi, I'm Daniela Mazza. I'm 20 years old. I go to Stockton University and I'm a health science major with a concentration in occupational therapy. When the first surge came by, it started taking away the beach at first, and then after that it started taking away the houses, and then after it started taking the houses away, it started to like break apart people's like porches and stuff, and it was like swishing everything into my backyard, and I live on the bay. So from the ocean to the bay, like everything was just breaking apart, and the streets were completely being destroyed and everything.
We'll put it this way, we've had many storms, and a bunch of local people, we never really leave for hurricanes, okay? We always stayed. And this one we stayed for, and by, I'm gonna say, about 8 hours before the storm actually was here, my buddy's got a house right up on the ocean, and the waves were already knocking his house down. After that, I saw that, I came back and made some phone calls, and I'm standing in the front of my house. Now what, we're about 6 blocks from the ocean? In the afternoon, 5-6 hours before the storm was even here. And I see a little pool of water coming down the side street, which I've never seen before. And what it was the ocean breaching the dunes. So that's when we kind of figured it was going to be a little sketchy, but we're staying anyway.
First of all, we decided to stay because we didn't think it was going to be that bad, because we've had hurricanes before and it was just like rain and wind and stuff like that. We went up to the beach a couple times to check it out, and the ocean was really rough and the tide was super high, but we didn't really think it was going to get any worse than that. But then like when we saw the ocean coming down our street, then we started getting a little nervous, but we didn't really know like what was going on. I mean, it was nighttime, so at that point we kind of figured the damage was going to be bad, but we never anticipated that it was going to be as bad as it turned out.
So we do our normal thing. We get together, we get, a bunch of local friends come over, and this is where we're going to spend the night. And by 8:30, 9 o'clock, we were wondering if it was a good idea or not. Lights start blinking. We start hearing tremendous noise outside. What the noise was, it was the water rushing by the sides of the house, which was the ocean, wrapping around the house. We go out the side door and we see refrigerators, couches, staircases, just plowing into the bay. That's when we started looking around outside, thinking that we probably should have left, but there was no way out. So we stayed.
And Like at that point we did like go to sleep scared and nervous. A few people went up to the beach to see after like the flooding went down, and they found kayaks that floated around, and they went up to the beach and they saw like that all of the houses on like the beachfront were like destroyed, and the town was like unrecognizable. Like I've lived there my entire life, and it was hard to tell like what street you were even on. It was honestly undescribable. You can't really imagine it unless you actually saw it.
The day after we were still here, we were here for 4 days, and when all the water was risen, a lot of gas mains broke. So there's you could see all the bubbling and you could smell the gas everywhere. We were actually told not to even use our cell phones because if for whatever reason there's a little spark, even though like the gas mains were broken underwater, it can cause an explosion. And then once the water finally subsided, we like started walking around, and like the park that is right next to my house, the basketball court was destroyed. The streets were all bumpy, and by the surf club, which is by the beach, like a couple blocks over from me, the pavement was completely destroyed. Like you couldn't even walk on it without getting hurt.
Basically, this house survived because there's about 100 pilings, they're about 20 feet into the ground, and then there's a concrete grade beam that is poured over the top of those pilings, and then we build a house up from there. So now, as the water rushes down and all the earth winds up in Barnegat Bay, the pilings literally held up the house. You could almost walk under my house, where before it was just dirt. So if it wasn't for the 100 pilings that were under there, structurally placed in the right spots, this house would have been gone. It's
like, I want to say almost like bittersweet, because like it was something that I will never experience again. So was like an opportunity to see everything that happened, even though how bad it was, because if I ended up leaving, I would not be able to tell you the story that I am right now. So, but also it sucked staying here because of all the stress and tension it caused, and actually seeing people's homes being destroyed. It was a sight to see.